Welcome to my algebra class. We're on chapter 7, section 4, and we're working with equations that have denominators with variables and different denominators. So the way to eliminate all of this instead of renaming the fractions is to multiply by the least common denominator. So I have 3y and 15. Starting with the numbers, the least common denominator of 3 and 15 would be 15, and then I have to have a y. So this denominator will eliminate, that least common denominator will eliminate all my denominators, and I will have just terms without fractions. So if I take 4y and multiply by 15y, the y's cancel, leaving me 15. So that would give me 60. Be sure and change subtraction to addition and change the signs. 3 goes into 15y, 5y. So that gives me minus 5y. And 15 goes into 15 once, and 1 times y is y. Now I have a problem where the variable is on two sides, so I get the variable on one side. Since y is by itself here, I would want to add 5y. And that gives me 60 equals 6y, 1y plus 5y, divide by 6, and I find that 10 equals y. And the second example, first example had 3 fractions, so I had to find the least common denominator. The second example, I could find the least common denominator, or I could use cross products since it is a proportion. And cross products are always easier. So I'm going to take 7 times the quantity 4 minus y. That gives me 28 minus 7y. And I'm going to take 6 minus x times 5, which gives me 30 minus 5x. Let's change something here. It should have the same variable. So we'll make that y. So that would be minus 5y. Variables are on opposite sides, so I want to move them to one side. That's the first step. And try to keep things positive, so I'm going to add 7y to both sides. So 28 equals 30 plus 2y. Next step is to subtract the 30, trying to solve for y, so I'm eliminating everything by the y. 28 minus 30 is a negative 2. Equals 2y, and then solving for y, divide both sides by 2, and negative 1 is my solution. So remember, if you have 3 or more fractions, you have to find the least common denominator. But if you have a fraction set equal to a fraction, use cross products. That concludes the explanation. You need to get your books ready and paper. Head the paper, skip a line. The title is page 305, numbers 1 to 20. Skip a line, fold your paper in half. Make sure you do the work going down one line of work for one line of the paper. Do not go across. So number 2, you're to go to the oral exercises and do that 2 there. So we have 3 over x plus 1/2 equals 1. And if I put the 1 over 1, I can see my denominators are x, 2, and 1. So the least common denominator would be 2 for the numbers and an x. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2x. X goes into 2x. The x's will cancel, leaving me a 2. So that'll give me 6. 2 goes into 2. The 2's will cancel, leaving me an x. So that's plus 1 times x is x. And 1 times 2x is 2x. First step is to get the variable on one side. So since everything's simplified, so I'm going to subtract the x from both sides because the 2x is already on one side. So 6 equals x. And you can check that. 3 over 6 is 1/2. 1/2 plus 1/2 makes 1. Problem number 4, still in the oral exercises, it's 9 over 2a minus 5 over a equals negative 1/4. So this is plus a negative 5. So the least common denominator, I have a 2 and a 4. So that would be 4, and I have to have an a, 1a. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4a. Sometimes it helps to put it over 1 so you don't accidentally get confused. It's on the bottom. So 2a goes into 4a. I'd have to multiply by 2. That leaves me a 2. So that's 18. A's cancel out, leaving me a 4. So that's negative 20. Whoops, wait a second. That's negative 20. Oh, I'm right. Negative 20. And on this side, the 4's cancel out, leaving me a negative a. So if I add those together, 18 minus 20 is negative 2 equals negative a. And dividing both sides by negative 1, we get 2 equals a. Problem number 6. Still in the oral exercises, we have 1 plus b over 1 minus b equals 4 over 3. Looking carefully, this is a proportion, so I will use cross products. It's easier. 3 times 1 plus b is 3 plus 3b. And 4 times 1 minus b is 4 minus 4b. First step is to get the variable on one side, trying to keep it positive, so I'm going to add 4b to both sides. That gives me 3 plus 7b equals 4. Subtract 3, two-step problem, subtract 3 first. That gives me 7b equals 1. Then solving for b, divide both sides by 7, and b equals 1/7. Problem number 8. The directions are solve and check. If the equation has no solution, write no solution. That's when we get a false statement. So 3 over 2a minus 5 over 6 equals 2 over 3a. 4 of our denominator equals 0. So we'll watch for that. So 3 over 2a plus a negative 5, 6. Least common denominator. We have the numbers 3, 6, and 2, so that would be a 6. And then we need the a. So we're going to multiply both sides by 6a. 2a goes into 3a. We need to multiply by a 3 to get 6a, so that's going to be 9. And 6 goes into 6a, leaving me just the a, so we'll multiply by a here, so that's negative 5a. And 3a goes into 6a twice, so that gives me 4. Two-step problem, subtract the 9 first, and we get negative 5a equals negative 5. Divide both sides by negative 5 to get a by itself, and a equals 1. Problem number 10, we have 5 minus m over 7 minus m equals 2/3. This is a fraction equal to a fraction, which is a proportion. So we're going to use cross products. 3 times 5 minus m, distributive property, 15 minus 3m. 2 times the quantity 7 minus m, distributive property, 14 minus 2m. Getting the variable on one side, keeping things positive, I would add 3m to both sides. So we get 15 equals 14 plus m. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1m. Subtract 14 from both sides to solve for m, and 1 equals m. And that's easily checked. 5 minus 1 is 4. 7 minus 1 is 6. 4 sixths is 2/3. Problem number 12. Solve and check if the equation has no solution. Write no solution. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm still on the other page. Now I'll go back. 12 is 2 equals x minus 4 over x minus 2. Put the 2 over 1, and then we have a fraction equal to a fraction. So use cross products, and we get 2x minus 4. And cross products here, we get x minus 4. Getting the x's on one side, subtract x from both sides. Keeping this positive, we get x minus 4 equals negative 4. Add 4 to both sides to solve for x, and we get x equals 0. Okay, I'm going to stop here and tell you what I mean by no solution here. When I get x equals 0, that is the solution, as long as when I plug it in here, 0 minus 2, because that's what x is going to be, is 0. I don't get 0 down here. If I do, I'm dividing by 0, and that's impossible. So that would be solution, no solution. One of the problems from 1 to 12 comes out, the odds come out, no solution. And on the next page, watch for that also. So we're on number 14. We have 2x minus 4 over x minus 2 equals 1 over 3. This is a proportion, so we can use cross products. 3 times distributive property 2x minus 4 is 6x minus 12. And 1 times x minus 2 is x minus 2. Get the x's on one side, so I'm going to keep things positive. I subtract x from both sides. I get 5x minus 12 equals negative 2. Two-step problem, add 12 to both sides. I get 5x equals 10. Divide by 5 to get x by itself, and I get x equals 2. Now check and see if 2 makes a 0. If I plug it in here, and that's the only place I'm worried about, 2 minus 2 is 0. I can't use it, so no solution. I can't divide by 0. Problem number 16, we have 1/4 equals 2w plus 1 over 2w plus 4. Again, we have a proportion, so we can use cross products. 4 times 2w plus 1 is 8w plus 4, and 1 times 2w plus 4 is 2w plus 4. Getting the variable on one side, keeping things positive, I'm going to subtract 2w. That leaves me 6w plus 4 equals 4. Undo the adding 4, subtract 4 from both sides. I get 6w equals 0. Divide by 6, and w is 0. Checking, if I put 0 back up here, 2 times 0 is 0 plus 4. It's fine. So 0 is my solution. 18, we have y minus 2 over 4y minus 8 equals 1/4. Cross products, 4 times y minus 2 is 4y minus 8, and 1 times 4y minus 8 is 4y minus 8. Getting the variable on one side, I get negative 8 equals negative 8. So this is an identity. So your solution set are all the real numbers, but check out and be very careful. I can't let the bottom here be 0. So is there a number that I could put in for y that would cause this to be 0? Well, 8 minus 8 would be 0, and 2 times 4 would make the 8. So I'd have to say reals except 2. All the reals work except 2. I can't use 2. And problem number 20, I have a plus 1 over 6 equals 2 over a. Again, a fraction equal to a fraction, use cross products. A times a plus 1 is a squared plus a, using distributive property, and 6 times 2 is 12. Since this is a quadratic, you have to factor. So I have a squared plus a minus 12 equals 0. There's going to be 2 solutions. Product is negative 12. Sum is 1. So the 2 numbers that would work would have to be 3 and 4. And since the sum is positive 1, the 3 is negative. So my factors are a minus 3 and a plus 4. Remember, the minute you see a variable to the second power, you're going to have to use factoring. So the possible solutions are 3 and negative 4. And neither one of those would make a 0 for the denominator, so that's my solution, 3 and negative 4. That concludes the evens. Be sure you check the answers in the back of the book as you do odds. Get help as needed.